Hey there, YouTubers. So we are firing up the i5-12600K in the Asus H610m E D4 motherboard for the very first time. We're going to do some benchmarks, check out the BIOS while we're at it. Eventually I'll do a BIOS update video for this, but there you can see, folks, there's the motherboard, there is the CPU. We do have the Noctua 120mm CPU cooler on there. As far as RAM goes, we have this G-Skills RAM in here. Ripjaw, Ripsaw, whatever it is. It's currently running 3600, not at 3600 megahertz, but 3200. That's the limit to this motherboard. You can see the base speed here. Now, since somebody asked earlier, if I wanted to check this out, here you can see it's set to 3200. If I try and run this higher than that, the computer's not gonna boot to BIOS. Maybe it will a few times. It might try to actually post, but it's not gonna be able to do it. So if it does, it'll drop the RAM speed back down to the base speed 2133. Best thing to do is, just when you're in here doing XMP, set it at 3200 and forget about trying to get any faster. Now if you have RAM that is slower than 3200, it is let's say will overclock to 3000. You may be able to get 3200 out of it, but most likely you're stuck at 3000, and that assumes that RAM's compatible with this motherboard. Always check your motherboard manufacturer site for RAM compatibility. Alright, so that is that, folks. Kind of a waste of 3600 megahertz RAM. I probably should have put some 3200 in here, but let's go ahead and exit. I'm going to pause this till we get into Windows. Alright, folks, so we are finally in here. Alright, so obviously this is Windows 11, in case you haven't seen it. Supposedly better for 12th gen, but I haven't noticed a difference. We're going to do a couple things in here, folks. One, benchmark wise, let's do the easy stuff first. Let's see what we have. Now, we definitely want to have some stuff running in the background. And since this is Windows 11, yours truly gets a little confused on where stuff is. So I don't think I was able to download Intel's XTU. Let me do that first, and then we'll get back into this. Alright, so we're going to go through a bunch of free benchmarks. Let's start with Intel's XTU, if this will even work on here, because this really isn't friendly with 12th gen, let alone the locked CPUs. Restart required. We're gonna get there eventually. Alright, so not only are we going to do the benchmarks, but try and give you guys some numbers from Hardware Info 64. And if I was better at using this, there's probably a way to put the motherboard right next to the CPU on here, but I just hope you guys can read this. Now we are filming 4K. I had to drop it down to 30 frames per second so that it would actually let me record for longer than 6 minutes, which is what 60 FPS does. So there's where we're at with that. So you can see some of the different information. Don't see a specific VRM called out. You do see PCH in here. So hopefully this will help you guys, as long as I remember to bring this up when I run the different benchmarks. Now this may affect the benchmark numbers a little bit. It's probably a good chance it will. I did a lot of times I'll use OBS, which I know affects it unless you specifically are using graphics, the graphics card to help with that, but it still seems to lower the numbers. No, I do not want to participate. Alright, so once again, i5 12600K, RAM speed, it's our motherboard, and I have a RTX 2060 Super on here for now, and obviously Windows 11. Let's check this part out. So this looks different, folks. This must be a new version of XTU. Still can't do anything up here with this motherboard. I'm not even sure any of the 12th gen allows you to change this up here like I could do previously. Power limits. It would appear that we are, let's see, this is probably PL. I'm looking at the wrong one. There's PL1 set to unlimited, which is a joke with this motherboard, and then PL2. I do not remember the defaults. It's probably like 65 and 135. Guess we could look that up. But hell, we're going all out, folks. It's not going to matter. Oh, you know what? I'm thinking the i3 that was in here. This is the i5, right? So we want this thing to be unlimited. But we're going to end up down here with some issues probably. We'll see. Now currently the CPU is getting as low as 28 degrees Celsius, so that Noctua is doing a good job, but of course this motherboard not being Z690 factors in there as well. Our max core frequency, we can see that in here. The one thing we don't have, folks, and I'll just add this to it so that I got both of these. I'm going to pull this up a little bit. Alright, so you can see the wattage. That should help a little bit. Alright, so now you kind of understand what we've got for settings. Power limits might be set to unlimited. This BIOS is a little weak. At the end of the video, maybe we'll check what the BIOS says if I can remember. But VRMs, you know, not going to be very impressive with this motherboard. There are going to be some issues there, I'm sure. And we'll find out. Let's do our first benchmark. So I'm going to pull this up, and I'm going to try and drop hardware info in between these two, okay? Just like, yeah, something like that. I don't know if that's going to work so great. We want to see this information right here, though. So we want the motherboard, we want the CPU. And gosh, folks, this sucks. It's just a little too long. You know what? Most of you probably don't care about this shit on the bottom. Let me do it this way. No. Okay, there you go. You'll still be able to see that. Alright, so here we go. First benchmark. So what am I noticing so far? Really, I'm over here wondering what's going to happen, folks. But the other question is, what was my best score previously on a Z690? So no power limit throttling, no thermal throttling. Now, of course, this motherboard only has a 1x8 on it. It's come back down. There's your marks, 5737, 68 degrees Celsius, max frequency was 4.51. I hopefully will remember to go down into the comments and post, you know, how does that compare to a Z690? How does this score compare? Definitely lower. can guarantee it's lower. And what did we get? This says 4.51. All right, so let's flush this. We're going to keep this open the whole time, folks. It may affect the other benchmarks, but at least we get the charting. So next, why not run user benchmark, the one nobody really cares about. And somewhere in here, I like the old version where I didn't have to interact. So this is the first time we've run this. We're going to have to pay attention. So this will be affected by this other crap as far as the score goes. Let me, you know what, folks? All right. We're gonna have to do this one again. And it won't let me kill it. Well,